Hello guys and welcome back to another video about the new civilizations from the Three Kingdoms DLC that is coming out next month. We have looked at the Wu and the Hitans, and now we're going to look at Shu. So Shu is labeled as an archer and siege civilization, and that is going to be very clear as we take a look through their technology tree. A very interesting bonus though right off the bat, lumberjacks generate food in addition to wood. I haven't tested the ratio to this yet, but this seems incredibly strong, right? But then again, if it is the same ratio as like poles with stone to gold, then maybe it's not that strong. But then again, getting free food income is always very powerful in Age of Empires because it just gives you such a head start in so many ways. So we'll see how that one is. Archer unit technologies at the archery range and blacksmith cost minus 25%. So for example, crossbows and cavalry archers will be coming at a proper discount, as should thumb ring and part in tactics as well, if they only had part in tactics. Looking at their archery range, they do have arbalest, heavy archer, and elite skirmishers, but no hand cannoner, and as I mentioned, no part in tactics. The elite skirmisher upgrade, however, does not come into that, so the elite skirmisher cost is still the same as 230 and 130. On top of that, they also have siege weapons and siege warships moving 10% faster in the Castle Age and then 15% faster in the Imperial Age. This is the first time we see siege units across the whole board move faster, so I'm curious to see how strong this is going to be in action. The unique unit is a White Feather Guard, which is an infantry unit produced in the castle, and it is a unique infantry that temporarily slows down the unit it attacks. Again, another one of these types of features that I consider to be part of like these other games such as Dota, such as action RPGs like Path of Exile, these types of games, right? So now we have a bleed feature with one of the civilizations, we have a slowdown feature here, I'm sure there's going to be more to come. It has 95 HP, 7 attack, but 0 melee armor and 2 ranged armor. It is supposed to be strong against cavalry and infantry and then weak against ranged soldiers. Looking at the cost, it is 60 food but only 15 gold. So it is very cheap for an infantry unit. The elite upgrade is 900 food and 500 gold and gives you another 5 HP and just 1 more attack and 1 more armor. So not a significant boost to the stats, but the upgrade cost isn't that severe either though. So I guess all in all, fair. This unit can, however, benefit from the Castle Age unique tech, which is called Coiled Serpent Array. This upgrade makes Spearman Line and White Feather Guards gain additional HP when near each other. So you can compare this to the... Is it Georgians who has it? I'm a Warcraft 3 player these days, I don't remember. We do have Monaspa, for example, from the Georgians, where when you have knights or Monaspa next to each other, they get extra attack. However, this time is going to be extra HP. We're going to have to see how much that HP stacks, so that could be pretty sick. It is 350 food and 300 gold, so fairly cheap. Looking at the barracks, they have all the options in the barracks, both champion and halberdier, and squires, gambesons, and arsons. And again, these halberdiers could benefit from the unique tech where once they're near each other, they will get additional HP. The stable is not really something to be proud of, but they do have the High Guang Cavalry, which is kind of a replacement for the Knights, and they do get the heavy version as well. So without Bloodlines though, no Hussar, it's still not a very impressive stable, but maybe the heavy High Guang can still do some work sometimes. Looking at the Siege Workshop, this is where we're going to find another one of their unique units, the War Chariot. They do have fully upgraded Siege Ram, access to onagers as well, and the Traction Trebuchet. But they do not have a Siege Onager, Heavy Scorpion, or Bomber Cannons. But looking at the War Chariot, it is actually a siege unit that costs food and gold, which is quite unique. 50 food, 90 gold, and it's a siege cavalry with rapid fire attack, but cannot attack at close range. It has a long reload time, and can also switch to a barrage mode, where it covers a larger area, but it will be less accurate. It claims to be strong against ranged soldiers, but weak against cavalry and other siege weapons. And just like the Wu, they also have the Traction Trebuchet, which will be a pretty solid siege unit coming from the Siege Workshop. Looking at the Blacksmith, they have all the upgrades for the ranged units, as we know, and they get a discount on that, keep that in mind. But they have full upgraded armor for both infantry and cavalry, but the attack upgrades for melee units, they only have forging, which is quite strange. The dock is also pretty solid. They do lack fast fire ships and cannon galleons. They do have pretty much everything else, and they also on top of that have the Lo Chuan, the new unique ship. In the university, they're only missing Keep, Bomber Tower, and Treadmill Crane, while the castle is missing trebuchets and sappers. Given that they have the traction trebuchets, that also makes sense. Looking at the castle though, we will also find another unique unit for the Shu. Just like the Wu, they also have their own hero. I mean, they're part of the internal Three Kingdom War, right? And all those three civilizations, spoiler alert, will have a hero. Liu Bei. Same cost as the other one, 500 food, 500 gold. Pretty solid stats here as well. And unique infantry hero that heals all nearby unit. So this is going to be a area of effect healing with pretty solid stats as well. Question is just, do you want to send them into the front line? Do you want to have them lurk behind? Given that he has pretty solid stats as well, he might want to be, honestly, all the way at the front and help those other units heal. However, this civilization is an archer and siege civilization, so maybe he serves a better purpose just being in the background and trying to heal those range units. I know probably a lot of people are going to be skeptical about hero units. I will withhold my judgment until I see it in action and play with them myself in actual competitive games. But yeah, it's definitely going to be something to get used to. The second unique tech that they have in the Castle Age in the Imperial Age is Bolt Magazine. This gives the Archer line, War Chariots, and Lu Chuan's additional projectiles. I will look later how many projectiles we get, but the fact that the Archer line gets extra ones could be scary. I would still just imagine it's just one, where the crossbow / arbalest will shoot one extra arrow that do not as much damage. Because if it does same damage, it can be very, very broken. War Chariots and Lu Chuan's as well, we'll have to see. The Monastery is also not very impressive. They do not have illumination, block printing, or sanctity, and also they're missing redemption, making them quite vulnerable to certain approaches, as I've mentioned before. Economically, they're missing both stone shaft mining and crop rotation, but again, these upgrades are not upgrades you need to do every game, so it's completely fine. At last, the team bonus is that foot archers have +2 extra line of sight, which, in my opinion, the line of sight bonuses aren't necessarily that great. But then again, we've had like, I think it's Japanese that give extra line of sight to galleys, for example. Malay gives extra line of sight to docks. They can be very good in certain circumstances. However, it's not like a permanent thing that contributes to your actual fights or actual economy. It rather is more of a you can kind of adjust and adapt based on what you're seeing type of thing, which again can be very useful, but team bonuses like this don't strike me as very, very powerful. We're gonna jump in here and do a game against the Extreme AI. Man, look at this castle. This castle looks sick. What we want to test here is primarily their archery units and their siege units, the War Chariot. I'm very curious how good that one is going to be. As you can see here, the elite skirmishers do not get a discount. However, crossbowman is 131 to 75. This is kind of the old cost of crossbowman. But what's also cool is the thumb ring discount, 225, 187. It's gonna make it a lot easier to do thumb ring fast. So I can see the Civ definitely like opening with thumb ring once they hit Castle Edge if they're playing crossbow more often than not. We have a couple of war chariots here with the focus fire activated. You can see in here it says in their name which mode is activated. There's no way for me to know from looking at it which mode they're at. If I click, I see this one is focus fire. This one is barrage. Okay, so I want them on focus fire. I'll click B. But now all of them are barrage, so I have to click B again. Now they're on focus fire. But that's where I would love to just have like a specific hotkey for the specific mode. There's a big reload on this. You see the focus fire mode? All the arrows goes to the center kind of. And you can also see properly how long the reload is. Okay, now we have barrage mode. We're gonna see how arrows are spreading now. They're kind of going all over the place. If there's a larger army coming at you, I think you probably want to have the barrage mode. That's actually a lot of damage. They have 8 attacks, so it makes sense. So if I fire 4 arrows at 8 attack, you can take out town centers with this bad boy. I mean, it is a siege unit, so it does make sense. Okay, let's try the barrage mode. You can see here how much of a spread we're suddenly getting. Despite targeting the unit in the middle, our attack is kind of spreading out over multiple targets. So I like that. I think the barrage mode is going to be quite popular here. Arbalest upgrades are going to come in way easier with this civilization, making maybe such things as fast Imperial Age with Arbalest more viable for Shu. Yeah, I could see that be the thing. Heavy cavalry also obviously discounted. Now let's have a look if the Rams definitely can feel that they're moving faster. We're supposed to have 15% movement speed on Siege and Imperial Age. I think I can definitely feel that these are fast. Let's try to load them up with infantry as well. These are battering rams loaded up. They move very fast, so I think you can definitely notice that extra percentage. We're gonna do the Serpent Array to do some testing now on how much HP they get when they're together. This still counts as being next to other units. What? That range is insane. Okay, 95 is the original HP. I have units that are like, what, 20 tiles away? And then I move into the region of these units, and suddenly my HP rises up to 104. So I'm getting 9 extra HP. How many can we have? 107? Seems like it stops at 109. So I guess once you get to like 30 units, you can have 14 extra HP. That is crazy. So you can have 1 extra HP of that. Man, these look beautiful though, I have to be honest. They look gorgeous. This unit is also supposed to have a slowing down effect when you engage. So I want to see if we can see that in action. Okay, we have a paladin here. Let's fight him and see. You can definitely notice it. He just suddenly feels like a Teutonic paladin. Does it stack though? If I hit one guy multiple times, is it getting extra slow or just... Okay, it's permanently just how slow they are. I realized I said he looks like a Teuton paladin. I realized he is Teutons. They're all slow. Still think you notice a little bit that they are slower than the ones in the back line, so... I feel like it's not a significant slowdown effect, but it still can be noticeable and very helpful when it comes to chasing down enemy units. We're supposed to be good against the cavalry units. Looks like we are. These are Teutonic paladins with extra melee armor. We're still taking a pretty decent trade here. I mean, obviously they outnumber us heavily, so it's expected, but okay. Halberdier, 60. Yeah, so every 4 unit gives you 1 extra HP, it seems. Okay, let's get the unique ticker bolt magazine to see the extra arrows from the arbalest, or crossbows in this case. What? They look like Shuganoos! So you have 2 extra projectiles, but do they do full damage? I don't think they do. I mean, they have 7 armor, so I'm supposed to do 3 damage per hit. It seems like it does 1 extra damage, but I cannot tell completely. But still, this is still very powerful to just have those extra arrows. If it's just 1 extra attack, it's still 2 extra damage, right? So it's still very good. I am getting completely wrecked, but we have gotten to see that. Let's now get the Liu Bei included. Looks like he's on a horse, actually. I didn't realize. No, it's not on a horse. So we see the radius is pretty solid. And the healing is essentially 1 per second, kind of, it seems like. And it's also healing while you're in a fight. Yeah. So this will be very useful for sure. Any close fights with a hero like this that is healing your units, you will always just have the edge. Because you will be obviously just getting some extra passive healing on top, which will be quite decisive more often than not. Okay, the war chariots also benefit from the healing. Man, are we gonna have some masterpieces with like fast imp and make the hero and have healing on our units with tech advantage? I can see like 1 castle, arbalest play with the hero and trebuchets. But first impressions are... They don't seem that broken, but I can see a snowball with them happen as well. But the fact that they cost food makes it more likely to be a later stage unit rather than a like fast castle into war chariots thing. In summary, I would say that the Shu are a pretty alright civilization. I don't necessarily think they're gonna be broken. The archer player should be solid. Obviously generating food in addition to wood is gonna help that a lot as well. Again, I have to try a proper competitive game to get the feel for how good that economy is. But I don't think it was like crazy fast to the point where, oh my god, this is so broken, right? I think the White Feather Guard and the War Chariots also don't seem to be like omega broken units on first inspection. And I do know that they have the High Guang Cavalry as well. We didn't test it here. We did test it with the Wudo. That seems like just like a kind of a knight unit. But without Bloodlines, I don't think you're going to go for this unit very often. Also, you only have Forging, right? So I think the civilization will mostly stay away from cavalry except for late game raiding with light cav probably. I feel like the compositions we're going to end up seeing with this civilization is definitely like halberdiers with arbalest, for example. But halberdiers that get 10-15 extra HP could be sick in combination with the arbalest in front, right? Or arbalest behind, sorry. And on top of that, you sneak in the hero to help with the passive healing. That composition can be very, because it's also a very good 1v1 composition. However, it does lack mobility, and if you also want to mix in siege units there, such as the War Chariot or the Traction Trebuchet, you're going to end up with a very slow composition, but that makes sense given that it is a archer and siege civilization. However, this civilization doesn't strike me as like, oh my god, this is going to be a top 5 civilization. I think it's going to be good, fairly solid, especially in team games as an archer flank, for example. But I don't think in 1v1 this is going to be like omega broken. Obviously time will tell. But it's a cool civ nonetheless. I think the design is interesting, and we see again new mechanics that we haven't seen before, like the slow feature from the unique unit or lumberjacks generating food. Anyway, that's the Shu. Let me know what you think. This was my first impression of the civilization. We're going to give our first impression of all civilizations. Big surprise, I know. But let me know in the comment section what you think. If you think the civ is busted, are my predictions wrong? Do you think they're going to be like the best civ in the game, or are they even worse than I think as well? Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.